Welcome to the Global Real Estate and Entrepreneurship Podcast. Super excited to be here today with this gentleman and his energy. I've got up and coming realtor from New Brunswick, St. John, Brandon Vincent, taking the East Coast by storm. So excited to have you here today, Brandon.
Nicole, thank you so much. You're so kind, and I'm super excited to dive into this and hopefully give some value to everybody watching, and also just to kind of deepen our relationship here too. And really excited.
Fantastic. Well, I want to just let everybody know sort of how we connected. So, Brandon and I are part of this amazing global, the fastest global independent real estate brokerage in the world. We're 90,000 agents globally now. And we're a part of the Canadian division of this global company. We actually met at our national conference in Toronto at the Sheraton recently. And this is a real kudos to, and we want to sort of let everybody know that how amazing it is, number one, to be part of the fastest growing group within that fastest growing organization, the Wolfpack, the social media and mindset masters of EXP. But also, we met at this global conference, and even though we are not geographically beside each other, I feel more connected with Brandon and his team than I have with the people that I was working with in bricks and mortar for many years. And I want to sort of dispel that myth. So, Brandon, can you talk to me a little bit about your experience at Canada EXPCON?
Absolutely. So Canada EXPCon was my third EXP conference that I went to, and it opened my eyes going to the first one, going to the first conference and realizing the power of this brokerage because it is a cloud-based brokerage and it's a global opportunity for everybody. However, that being said, there is some super important connections to be made, and you don't get to always optimize them without going to some of these conferences and meeting people in person. And I 100% love the fact that Zoom has been almost adopted more commonly over the last few years. But it's still so important to get out and meet people because you get to find energies that you match with. And I find so many people at our brokerage, they all have a very similar energy. Everybody wants to help each other. We all want to see each other grow. We're all like, it's the first time I've been with one other brokerage for about 2.5 years, been with EXP for almost 2.5 now. And I find with EXP, it's there's true camaraderie with people that want to see each other grow. And it's just the environment that EXP fosters. So with the ICON program wanting to or promoting agents to teach, so active agents who are crushing it in their market, teach other agents how to do the same. And it's like just that kind of that culture starts to spread throughout the entire company, and other people really want to see each other do well, and it's super contagious, and I absolutely love it.
Absolutely. I love that you say that it's energy that is super contagious, and it's positive energy that's super contagious. Where I'm in the Toronto market, and we're altruistic sharks. I mean, well, in the Toronto market, there, real estate is known as it's a tough business, and the real estate agents here are very competitive, and I would say it's a shark pool. But what I love about EXP is that the model that Glenn Sanford, our Canadian billionaire founder, has come up with is so brilliant. It makes us altruistic sharks because we get to appeal and help the people in our organization in such an aggressive way to sort of like, come on, let's go. Let's, if you're not an icon, here's how, this is what I'm doing. And you can do as well in your market to become an icon agent. And just for those who don't know it, the ICON program is one of the most competitive programs for productive agents globally, which means that you can earn back your entire split or more than 100% of your split by a very high level of production, which as far as I know isn't available at any other brokerage anywhere.
No, exactly. And it's all these financial benefits that EXP has that I find that makes it an even more competitive and even better brokerage to be part of, because it's allowing agents to truly build a lifestyle that they can not only enjoy, but it's rewarding to help the company grow. And Glenn Sanford is such an amazing CEO. Well, I guess not the CEO anymore, but the founder. And he's so kind-hearted and comes from such a genuine place and has worked so hard and gone through so much adversity of starting something, because back when he started it, the cloud idea was almost taboo. And he got so much shade from other people about like, oh, that's not going to work, it's not going to work. And it's like, I think that EXP is just in the starting phase. We're just starting to really explode. It's like the book The Tipping Point. Like, we're just at that tipping point right now. And I think that it's going to be a company that's going to be around for a long time because of the culture, because of the way that it's agent centric, which allows the agents to then pour more into their business, into their clients, and truly want to as agents and grow the company as well. I'm so happy that I'm part of this company. And then also too, the team within the company, the Wolfpack, like you mentioned, we have some of the top leadership, in my opinion, in the entire company, leading us by example. And being at the EXPCon that we went to in Toronto, getting to know Connor Steinbrook on a deeper level as well. So he's my tier 2 sponsor, and just connecting with him more, and all these relationships are so important to build, and you never know what will come of it. Just like you and I doing this podcast right now, right? Like, there's so much serendipity of actually putting yourself and getting to where everybody's at and surrounding yourself by people with like minds.
Absolutely. And you said so many gold nuggets there. I mean, as an ex stockbroker, I can say that my analysis of the entire model, EXP model, is that this is the smartest business model I've ever seen in my life. The fact that we are rewarded with stock opposed to stupid trophies, pardon my French, I love it.
Right, right.
uh, the idea of taking an employee or an agent and making them an owner is brilliant. Glenn Sanford, and we can link him in with EXP 2.0. And, while other brokerages are suffering in the last couple of years have been the worst years in real estate and sales in 30 years. We came out as number one producers in transactions globally. And, Glenn doubled down by opening up tiers. And I know a lot of people don't know what that means, but more or less that's putting more money in let's say lower level agents' pockets immediately for the rest of their time here. So
Yep.
he very much is given us incentive and sort of a life raft to stay in this industry, and to help us bring other people here to help them, where other brokerages are cutting back on everything. Our company still becomes very centric on helping the agent do their business and sort of weather the storm of the markets. And we do have to ride the markets.
100%.
Talking about, Connor Steinbrook and the Wolfpack. Yeah, it's an amazing entity within EXP to be involved in, because it's attracted so many diamonds in this industry, such as yourself. But he absolutely is a mindset master, and there's a lot of stuff that he sort of teaches and has taught us that goes so far beyond real estate. Because, it's that idea that we can teach you how to produce, which is super important. But if that telephone is weighing 3,000 pounds, what good are all these tricks to produce if we're, being held back by our limited mindset? Or how about just the brokenness of being a human being living in this life, right? So it's a very holistic perspective to entrepreneurship, which is huge, because so often you feel alone. And so the whole idea of the wolf pack too is that we're in this lone wolf business, but we do better running as a pack. um
100%.
I love that.
That's the you just dropped some really good golden nuggets. Sorry, I was trying to get some side content, but that's failing. That's okay. You just dropped some amazing gold nuggets talking about the mindset master. And that's one thing that I was missing at my past brokerage, was getting the mindset of what you truly need to succeed. And a lot of people just talk on the surface level stuff, like everybody should be outdoor knocking and cold calling. But like you said, if that phone weighs 1,000 pounds and your mindset is not right, then it's going to be so hard for you to actually go out and optimize on these tricks and skills that you need to do. You need to make sure that your mindset is right, that you have full belief in yourself, that you're able to, and that you have the leadership behind you, and that you're getting the proper training. And a lot of it does start just inside, right? And I mean, one big thing that our group talks about a lot too is like the physical fitness, like making sure you're exercising, stuff like that. Like it's not just real estate. And that's what I love about the Wolfpack too, is it's not all raw real estate. It's almost a full lifestyle training. And I mean, it's a mentorship, right? Because we have the weekly calls. We have training available online. We can go back through the calls if we end up missing one and watch it on the drive. And then even if there was one that really fired us up, that was like, that call is what I needed, and maybe you need to rewatch that 6 months down the road, you can go back and check that one out too. There's so many benefits, so many benefits.
And even like we were saying, so when we're talking about energy, so Connor creates this group and then creates a podcast and then brings on our number one Canadian leader, Mike Sherrard, who is our leader in our down, and we're so proud of him as a Canadian. He's the number one global attractor to this amazing company, and he's Canadian. So that
Right.
is such a feather in our caps as Canadians in, such a large organization. And one of the reasons why I started this podcast, because, their relationship was built, and before he even came to EXP, on their relationship through podcasting and social media. And of course, Mike, with his background in social media, and that he gives that away to us free, to sort of take us to a whole nother level. And as an ex-engineer, has executed this so incredibly well. It's just amazing. Like, so this is just a
Learning from practitioners too. Learning from practitioners. We're learning from people who have mastered the craft. We're learning social media from somebody who is the top social agent in I mean in Canada, in the US. Like he's right up there with like the likes of like Tom Ferry. Like his name now has risen so fast in the industry, and he's still just getting started, which is the crazy part. He's my age, and it's like it's so inspiring to see. And just having that mentorship, I don't even think we understand what it does for our mindset, right? Because it's like if the people who are coaching us are performing at such a high tier, then that just raises the standard. And then I get looking at some of the local agents here going like, oh, there's so much untapped potential. And we have a little bit of a different market than Toronto. I know, like you said, it's like a shark pool in Toronto. And here in New Brunswick, things are a little bit slower pace, and it's definitely still aggressive. Don't get me wrong. This is a competitive business, no matter where and what you're doing. This is a competitive business because we all eat what we kill, more or less, right? I'm a little bit of a hunter myself. I say a little bit of a hunter. So yeah, I that's my mindset on it. It's like I need to go out and make sure that I'm doing the right things that are going to help me get as much business as possible. And a lot of it is using the tactics that we learn in the Wolfpack, social media, YouTube, learning to do that the right way, the mindset, jumping on these calls every Tuesday. And then there's calls on Monday with Connor, mindset. And it's just that all sets the ball in motion. And if you actually implement, let's say if you implement 50% of what you learn, 25%, you're going to be so much further ahead than you were before. So it's truly inspiring.
Absolutely. So let's get back to you, Brandon, and talk to us about your journey in real estate.
Yeah. So I got started in real estate about 6 years ago now, and it honestly came a little bit serendipitously. I was running a small family business, and it was a spa at the time, which is hilarious because like my background is like military, commercial diving, trades, but I always knew I wanted to do something in the entrepreneurship field. I always knew I wanted to work for myself. I started working for a very small company when I was 14 years old. It was a local produce store. The owner was an entrepreneur. He owned it. I always seen him coming in, dealing with the problems and solving them, and how everybody looked at him as a major inspiration of like, this is our boss. He's writing our paychecks. Like he's keeping this place afloat. My mother was an entrepreneur too. So I always looked up to entrepreneurs and aspired and just thought, even though it seemed so difficult, it's like, it seems like a very rewarding thing to do. It seems challenging. It seems rewarding. And it seems like a difficult thing to tackle, which is very, very interesting for me. So I knew I always wanted to do that, running my small family business, which was a spa where we did like manicures and pedicures. I didn't do any of it. I just did the marketing. I was doing the front desk. I was doing the payroll. I was doing all that stuff, all the things that I could do. And then I hired for the rest. That was a crazy industry to be in. A, because I knew very little about it. B, because it was just probably the wrong industry, but I got my foot in the door. And then my grandfather, who sold real estate for about 10 years, said, I see how hard you're working. I see the work you're putting in. You'd make way more money selling real estate. And I was like, okay, you know what? So I sat down with them. We had a real conversation. I said, let's give this a shot. And I never thought of myself as a real estate agent. I never thought of myself as a salesperson. I always enjoyed talking to people. I've always enjoyed building relationships. I've always been outgoing, but I never ever considered myself sales because I just had that like blue collar mindset of like I work with my hands because that's what everybody else around me has done and that's what my family has done kind of deal. Like it was just this, but I just shifted that mindset and I started to implement what I was doing in my family business and just started to market myself. And then that was right around when the pandemic hit. So I was selling real estate for about six to 8 months before the pandemic. Then things got a little bit weird. I was still dabbling in the military a little bit behind the scenes, and then I eventually just said I'm going all in on real estate, and it's all been um, growth from there. And it was just a matter of implementing my marketing strategies back towards me, and just really not being afraid to put myself out there. And you go through trials and tribulations along the way because you go through some doubts at times. It's not a super easy industry. There's a stat. 9 out of 10 agents will no longer be in the business after 5 years. So after 5 years, only 1 out of 10
Wow.
like remain. So it's like very, very low, right? So when people look at us and say like, oh, it seems easy. It's like, that's what it seems like. But I think part of the reason why real estate might look easy to some people is because only the best of the best get to stay and do it. Because if you're not performing at a high level, it's not sustainable, just like any business. It's like you need to maintain your relationships with people. You need to maintain business. You need to maintain marketing. You need to reinvest back into the business. You need to put time into it. It doesn't just come to you. So yeah, it's been a really exciting ride. 6 years in, and I'm 31 years old. And I mean, I've learned so much. I've sold over. I'm just about to hit 100 transactions in the last 6 years. I'm about like 97 transactions right now. I'll be 100 by the end of the year. So
Brilliant.
really exciting stuff. You get to work with a lot of people and you're part of monumental moments in people's lives. And the fact that I get to help so many people, and then you see the sparkle in their eye after when they're talking to you saying, I'm so glad that you helped me sell this because now we paid off our debt and now we own this way better home and we're way happier and the kids have more room. And you see the sparkle in their eye and like they associate you with part of that. And it just gives me chills. It gives me real chills. Like it's incredible.
It's an amazing industry that way. I mean, absolutely, you need to have mental toughness. So your background in military and the discipline involved in that, obviously, and then entrepreneurship. This is an amazing synergy of your experience culminating in this moment of time. Uh,
Right.
But yeah, I'm in real estate now 13 years, and I've seen a lot of ups and downs in markets. I've seen things happen in real as I'm a real estate investor, a flipper. Um, Also, I was a managing broker. Like I've seen a lot of stuff in real estate, and you think it's a sprint, but it is a marathon, my friend. And it is
Absolutely.
the most grueling marathon ever. And just when you think you're at the top, you could be down. It's like it's a Frank Sinatra song, really.
Yeah, I love it. I love Frank Sinatra. Love Frank
Oh,
Sinatra.
mistake will take you over and out and make
It's-
you a king and a pawn in a minute. But
Exactly.
it's people's biggest investments a lot of
Yeah.
times. It's the most emotional real investment transaction that people will have in their lives, so they absolutely need to be at arm's length with
Yeah.
an agent and a broker, but they also need someone who is going to hold their hands emotionally through the
Yeah.
roller coaster ride of the situation, because it becomes very emotional for people when they're buying and selling these homes that they've given their lives to, they've raised their children, they grew up in, as a family, they went through hell and back. Like
Right.
that we're putting on all those hats, right? We're the negotiator, we're the psychologist, we're the friend. Sometimes we're the person's spouse. Like if you're going through something with a single person, we end up being that ear of their partner that they don't have maybe in that moment, and being that other word going like, no, this is our realistic opinion based on what's going on for you. So
And I love that you're so transparent about that, because when you're writing your real estate exam, that's not stuff they talk about. They don't teach you any of that stuff, right? It's, you're pretty well qualified, and you learn how to write contracts, and you learn all the legal logistics of our fiduciary duties and all of these things. But what they don't prepare you for is all the stuff that you just mentioned, is being the negotiator. And so there's a lot of self-learning, and I find the better agent I become, it's like I become better as a human myself. I become more patient. I become more understanding. I have a bookshelf over here of all kinds of different books, between Gary V and then Chris Voss with negotiating, and like Navy SEAL books, David Goggins on like mental toughness. So it's like you're always learning in this business, and I find the way that you are able to grow in this business is growing as a person and becoming more organized, systematic. And that's what's so fulfilling I find about entrepreneurship, is the way that you grow your business is actually by growing who you are as a person. So it's like the best investment that we can make is in ourselves. And part of that is going to these conferences and meeting people and learning and putting back. I mean, like we get to see the likes of Chris Hadfield on stage, and stuff like that is just so exciting. And listening to him talk about his perspective of being an astronaut, and then how he pours that perspective back into real estate, and some of the really cool nuances that he talked about. And everybody takes away something different at a different time from it. Like and so the best investment that you can make is in yourself. And that's what I do love about entrepreneurship and real estate as a whole too, because it's an entrepreneurship journey. We're running our own business. There's nobody giving me business. I need to go out and get it myself. And it's a matter of how much I pour into the business is what comes back.
absolutely no ceiling, no floor. So and one of the amazing things, especially about EXP, is there's no barrier to your millionaires and billionaires. Like Glenn Sanford,
Right.
our Canadian billionaire founder, I did a podcast with him at EXPCon. You were at a party with him one night, hanging out. Um,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
were Connor Steinbrook, who, is a multimillionaire and flipped 100 homes. He's got, and he's hanging out with us as well. And we really got to pick his brain on a more casual level. Mike Sherrard, I've met him previously at other the international conference, as I know you have as well. So you have the proximity to these people that, and then all of a sudden you realize, I could do that too. And
Exactly.
that's like
Exactly.
the
That's
light
the big
bulb.
realization right there, is the I can do this too. And once the first time I met Mike, I was a little bit almost nervous because I was like, hey, he's a big boy and there's so much energy around him. But once I got around him, I was like, I love that energy. And it's like, I remember having that energy when I was younger. It almost like relit a fire in me. And it's almost like we're all candles or we're all little, it's like that meme with the matches. Like all it takes is like one flame to reignite everybody else. And then everybody else's flames going. And that's the beautiful part, excuse me, about it is like we get around each other and the energies that we see, and then we realize that these are people that are just very purposeful and passionate about what they're doing, and that if we want to replicate that, then it's like pour our purpose and passion into what we're doing too. And you don't realize that without actually kind of getting around and meeting people like that. And that's why it's so important, I find, to get out of like your ecosystem. Like here in New Brunswick, it's everybody's got a similar mindset. And I find for the longest time, everybody was doing business the same way. So everybody would look at the top agent here, kind of like in New Brunswick, and say, okay, here's the model. But now with our global brokerage, we get to learn from agents all over the marketplaces everywhere and take different things that we like that they're doing and bring it back to our own marketplace and kind of pollinate our marketplace with these ideas. And then it changes the game for people. Like nobody was doing podcasts 2 years ago. And now you see more agents starting to do podcasts because it's like, I firmly believe that that's a great way to put yourself out there so that people can figure out who you are and whether they want to do business with you or not. And it's just an extra tool. Social media, YouTube, having YouTube channels and doing it the proper way. And luckily we get trained on all of that stuff.
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why we're having this podcast today. Besides the fact that I got to hang out with you at EXPCON, we got to share ideas. I love your energy. I mean, Brandon is a amazing storyteller, so entertaining, so humorous. I think we have humor in common, and I love that about you. You're always such a great time, but I also feel very comfortable putting my clients in your hands. So you absolutely are one of my preferred New Brunswick realtors, and we're at a period of time right now in Ontario where we're seeing that our from an investment point of view, our landlords are not being protected the way they used to be. I do have a lot of sort of, if you want to say, people who are exploring their options outside of Ontario for their investments. And our first choice as Canadians is to keep it within Canada before we sort of take it to the US. We do have some fantastic global partners and global markets that we can connect you to. But from a Canadian perspective, New Brunswick is such an interesting choice right now for investors. It's a drivable distance from Ontario, so that needs to be kept in mind. Brandon has a team of people in New Brunswick who can operate and he can connect you with for investment properties if you want to explore that. He's crushing it in his markets. I do want to bring up the fact that Brandon had the accolade of being number 7 in his province for production recently. So congratulations on crushing it in your market.
Thank you. Thank you.
We talk a little bit more about what's happening in your market today, about the investment opportunities and things that you have for our Ontario buyers?
Absolutely. So one of the things that's super enticing about New Brunswick for me is the average home price here. So when we're looking at all the provinces across Canada, New Brunswick has some of the fairest price real estate of any province. And I actually just looked at the numbers right before I jumped on this call. So the numbers for May 2024 for New Brunswick, average home price is 340,000. We're at about 3.2 months of inventory, which is actually going up a little bit. We were about 2.2, 2.4 months of inventory. So we're sitting at a point where we have very, very low inventory, and we've never really gone through the growth that we have in the last 4 years. I mean, there's almost we've almost had about 70,000 people move to New Brunswick in the last 3 years. And that's growth like we've never seen here. Normally there was people leaving. We actually had a declining population for the longest time. People moving out to Alberta for work and moving out to Ontario and all this stuff. And now since the pandemic, there's been a major shift. And I think it's in the fact that people kind of want a little bit of a slower lifestyle and they want their money to go further too. And now with working from home being an option, there's a lot more people looking at moving to New Brunswick here. And I've helped many people from Ontario purchase property here, and they'll move for investment purposes or them coming here to live too. And a lot out in BC too. And a big part of it is just the fact that it's so affordable. And that is really enticing. And we're in a market, even the last couple of years, where the interest rates were going up and up and up. Our real estate average price held steady. We did not see a decline in our average prices. So that's just kind of showing that we have a lot of strength here in New Brunswick for our market, and it's super exciting because I grew up here all my life. I'm a huge advocate for New Brunswick. We have all kinds of nature. We have the ocean all around us. We have an amazing lifestyle here. We have such friendly people, and it's super exciting to see it finally start to flourish and grow and really be a highlight on the Canadian map. Because for the longest time, I felt like it wasn't talked about. And even just so my marketplace, St. John, New Brunswick, we have the port growing. We have all kinds of new developments happening on the waterfront. They've brought in new cranes so that the port can now take even more container ships. We have cruise ships coming in all the time. There's a lot of potential here, and I'm super excited to see what the next 10 years brings, because I am very bullish on our market, just where we're sitting on the Canadian map with being one of the lowest averaged provinces. It's super exciting.
Well, I mean, there's so many golden nuggets there, especially for our Ontario buyers, because we're still at over $1 million for an average home in the Greater Toronto area. So think about that. It's about a third of a price for a home in New Brunswick. So
Yeah.
not only could you sell your $1 million home in Ontario and go live in a $300,000 house or $350,000 house, but you could have two more investment properties that could supplement your income. That's a huge game changer as a lifestyle change. And if you're part of an organization, which many are now, that you can work remotely, you don't even have to change your profession. You can work remotely from New Brunswick. So it can create a definite lifestyle change and income change for you. Because as we know in the Greater Toronto area, just to sort of survive here and live well, you have to be making a lot of money. Like
Yeah.
it's no joke in the Greater Toronto area these days, as far as what you need to produce to live a decent lifestyle here. So that is very appealing to many people if they can make that work. For those that want to stay in the hustle bustle of, the Toronto area, the idea of having an investment property within a drivable distance, but also, with someone like Brandon and the team that he has set up there, it's very doable to, like, so what would be a rental, if you have a detached house and you've purchased it for 350,000, what could you possibly rent that for?
Yeah, so looking at the rentals on a detached home, you're looking anywhere from about 18 to 24 on the high end, depending. I mean, if you have a really nice place, like with a lot of yard driveway, you could even push that up to 25, 26 even, right? So and I find the higher you go, the better type of tenants you're going to get too.
Right.
And the market, there's so much demand right now for rentals in the market because we have so many people moving in, and not everybody's able to afford a home right off the bat. And I mean, not everybody's looking to buy something right off the bat either. So we have long-term rentals, short-term rentals. If you're looking at multi-units when it comes to rentals, one bedrooms start about 1,300, probably a little bit lower than Ontario, just because of our market here. But the one bedrooms are about 13 to 15. The two bedrooms like 15 to 17. Three bedrooms, you can go up to 2,000 per month. And It all just depends on the location, all depends on the quality of the rental and stuff like that too. So, but I mean, our market in the rentals has been booming too. And the thing is that it's been a supply and demand issue. Like I said, the inventory is 3.2 months. Like that's not a lot of inventory. Like our average for months of inventory is about 5 to 6 months average. But these last few years, it's been about like 2 to 3 months of inventory just because we don't have enough. There's so many people coming here to buy a property, and there's not enough building going on as well. So the builders have slowed down with the price and the costs of building not being as profitable. I find that slowed down a little bit now too. But that being said, we're still seeing developments happening. It's just not happening fast enough. It's the same problem all over Canada, supply and demand right now, right? We have so many people coming in, and trying to create the inventory for them right now is the challenging part. But that's good for anybody that is looking to purchase investment properties for rental purposes, because they know that that demand is there.
And you also have the laws in New Brunswick supporting the investor. So it's my understanding that, for arrears and things of that nature, you can have people out within about 40 days. If that,
Yeah, within about a month if they're not you can evict faster for somebody not paying their rent than like if you're doing renos. So yeah, so I mean, we do have a lot of favorable laws for the landlords, because I've heard some of the laws in Ontario, and it's like it's crazy. I've heard some of the problems that you guys have had, and people can be pretty well camping out in a house, not paying any money at all, and it's like almost impossible to get them out. But as long as you go through the proper process here, which is putting your paperwork into like the sheriff's department, then they'll put that eviction notice, giving them I think about like 14 days to make a payment, and if they don't, then it's pretty well they're coming and knocking on the door telling them they have to get out. So there is favorable laws that way for sure.
well, I mean, as an investor, that's what you have to have and what you want to have so that you invest your money. And
Yeah,
that's one of the things that Ontario is going to have to work out. And we're as an advocate for landlords and property owners in Ontario. I've been part of a few advocacy groups and housing summits where we're having this discussion, and it's an ongoing thing that won't be solved overnight. But this is a Canadian market where an investor can, the laws are supporting the landlord and the investment for fair trade. You've
mhm,
got average house price, which is a third of what we're looking at for in the greater Toronto area. You've got high rental, you've got a high income on a monthly basis that you can achieve there. You've got, supply, let's say scarcity in some level that will help sustain the market and help it grow over time. So that investment should grow as well. Um,
100%. Yeah.
Hey, that sounds ripe for investment. I mean, that sounds like a good deal. So, I mean, of course, you can reach out to me to be warm connected to Brandon and his team in New Brunswick if you'd like a list of these amazing investment opportunities. But, Brandon, where can people reach out and follow you and sort of support you on social media?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a YouTube channel as well. So if you type in Brandon Vincent, New Brunswick, or even if you look up anything in regards to New Brunswick real estate, I'm probably in one of the top videos. If you look up St. John, I pretty well have that marketplace on YouTube cornered. So St. John real estate, look for market updates. I'm always doing updates, always doing podcasts with local business people, just like you're doing here right now. Just trying to get as much information into people's hands. I'll do, I'll do videos on like different community tours, 5 favorite coffee shops. Like I'm just throwing stuff out there so that people can get a sense of what it is like here, and that's actually been a source of clients for me. So that's super fortunate. Also on Instagram, if you look up Brandon Vincent on Instagram, I'm the fellow with the sunglasses. It's once you make a verified profile, it's so hard to change your picture, and that was just the one that got verified. So now it's been stuck on there. But and then on Facebook too. So there's all kinds of different spots, and you can put my phone number in the description too if you want. People can reach out directly, give me a call. All kinds of different ways to get a hold of me. Whatever works for you, I'll make it work.
It was so awesome. I saw, and I'll send this out for my Torontonian friends of that generation. You're on there with Maestro Fresh West, who is
Yeah.
restaurateur now and an award-winning restaurateur in New Brunswick. And I was like, get out of here with your bad self that you are interviewing Maestro Fresh West. That was so awesome.
And it's just about making connections, right? And I mean, just getting out there and meeting people. You never know who's gonna know who, and that was just a that was a good invite that I got, and that was my second time meeting Maestro Fresh, and he is so down to earth and so cool, and he's so passionate about St. John, New Brunswick too. We have a lot of yeah, we have a lot of like local celebrities. Who's another one? James Mullinger. He's a comedian here that's going on Canada tour as well. And we just have, there's a lot of stuff happening here. It is super, super exciting. And I think it's just starting to really flourish too, because like I said, for the longest time, things were fairly stagnant here, and we're starting to see some real growth happening, and we're starting to see real developments happening. And down at the waterfront, there's all kinds of money being poured into. Down there on the boardwalk, they're completely redoing it all. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it's just bringing new life to St. John. All these art stores, restaurants. We're seeing more bars, more things just happening, because that was kind of a lot of the complaints I heard people say, like, oh, well, there's nothing to do. It's like, well, if you have a limited mindset, then yeah, sure, there's nothing to do, but there's all kinds to do here. You just got to be a little bit creative. And some of it doesn't cost money. Just going out for a walk down to the water and taking the dog down there, or dog parks, or just kind of getting outside. Like, it's beautiful, beautiful. And you have to take advantage of this lifestyle, because it's truly special. I've lived in Calgary. I've lived in Halifax. I've lived in PEI, just through school, through military, through all the things that I've done. And I always end up coming back to St. John, because it's so diverse with the nature, the beaches, the businesses, and also too, there's minimal traffic. So that's one thing that I couldn't stand about these big cities, is sitting in traffic for hours on end. It is so depressing. I cannot stand it. It's like, get me where I'm going. I just want to get there, get to my appointment, get back home. And that's the beautiful thing about here, is the rush hour doesn't even exist. It's not a thing. So
You've hit the heartstrings of all Torontonians by touching us in traffic.
yeah, yeah, no, I know. I mean, it would take 20 minutes to drive 4 kilometers in Calgary. And I mean, like, there'd be points where it's like, it's not even worth going anywhere right now. We'll wait 2 hours if you're driving anytime between 4 and 6. Like, it's like, don't leave the house. There's no point.
Saw a card the other day. Me and my brother talk about this all the time. Where like, I love you so much, I'm willing to face 401 traffic in rush hour.
Right, right. Like, and then some of the stories I've heard, people using those mannequin dummies so that they can drive in the shared lane and stuff. Like, it's just preposterous. So we don't have any of that stuff going on here. We have traffic circles, we have 2-lane highways, and beaches, and there's still all kinds of opportunity. Beautiful real estate comes with, at least a quarter to a third to an acre of land. And it's a special thing. And I didn't realize this until I left. And then getting phone calls from people from Ontario saying, I'm living in Ottawa right now. I'm 35 years old, and it's a pipe dream for me to ever buy a house here. I'll never be able to afford a house with the, and I mean, I was talking to a guy who makes close to $100,000 a year, and he's like, I'll never be able to afford a house. It's crazy. And then so helping these people kind of come here and establish a lifestyle that they can be proud of, and kind of raise a family, and do all this stuff. So it's just serendipitous that I was born here, that I love it here, and luckily it's starting to grow. The timing was right, and I kind of just got positioned at the right spot at the right time. So super, super happy about that, and would love to help anybody that's interested in moving here, knowing some more, and just being a source of information. Like I said at the get-go, just a source of information and value for people.
Absolutely. We certainly are that. And I'm very proud to have you as my partner at EXP and through the Wolfpack, from Toronto to New Brunswick. Brandon Vincent in St. John, crushing it and helping people live the dream. So God bless you. And thank you so much for coming out today. And I look forward to seeing you at the next conference, and yeah, doing great things with you in the future. All the best.
Absolutely, Nicole. Thank you so much for having me on. This was super enjoyable, and yeah, looking forward to chatting again and doing this again soon. Maybe I can have you on my podcast.
Absolutely. I'd love it.
Cool.
Take care. Thanks again.
Awesome, Nicole. Thank you.